Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Sophie and I have not filmed a video in quite a long time, as you've probably noticed. So we're gonna get back into it. This is going to be my divorce story time. So if you are new here and this is your first video, you have a lot to catch up on. So I have a bunch of videos on updates and things like that. I can link them down below, otherwise they're just, you know, chilling on my channel somewhere. But this is the official story time of my divorce. So without getting too sappy or making anyone feel bad for me, that's not what this is about. This is literally just my divorce story time. Also, I'm having the worst hair day ever. But the video's not about my hair. I just felt like I needed to address that I hate it today. And my outfit is from my sister and I's boutique, White Giraffe Boutique. I just have this white cami and then this cute little summer shacket. So I'll also link that down below. And I did ask you guys over on my Instagram to ask me questions about the divorce and just any random questions you have. So there will be a Q&A portion at the end of the video, but I know you guys are all here to hear my divorce story time, and I'm smiling and I'm laughing, but don't let that fool you. I was a distraught human being for a solid 6 months. So let's start from the beginning. I married my high school sweetheart. We met, I was 15, he was 17, we went to the same high school. We hung out a few times and then we started dating and we were in love. At least I was in love. We were inseparable, blah, blah, blah. The whole, you know, high school dating thing. Well, 10 months into our relationship, he graduated high school and he joined the military, which I have military content on this channel as well. Won't be filming any more of that. But if you are a military significant other, you can check those videos out. I think that's good advice that I gave back then. So he went to the military, and at that 10-month mark, we're like, okay, we're either going to break up or we're gonna stay together and stay for the long haul and hope to get married one day. So since we were in love and we didn't want to break up, that's what we did. So I was 17 then. We were still together. He was 19 when he proposed. He is the one who went out, bought the ring, all on his own. We talked about getting engaged and married and blah blah blah, but I didn't know it was actually gonna happen. Like, hey, June 10th 2019, just turned 19 years old. He was deployed, whatever, you know. So I wake up to a FaceTime call from him at like 8 in the morning. I was so excited because, you know, when you're deployed, you never know when they're gonna have reception, when they're gonna be able to talk to you, yada yada. So I get this FaceTime call, and it was, he was in a black room, or he looked like he was outside, and it was dark out because it was that night because of the time change. So it was June 10th that night for him, and it was June 10th in the morning for me. And he looked just like, there was no emotion to his face, and I thought he either just got in a fight with someone, he just like got like mugged in a different country, like, because when you're on deployment, it's not always active duty. Like, they could go out at night sometimes, and so he was out, and I'm like, okay, are you drunk? Because he was probably drunk, and he was. And I was like, okay, like, sometimes you FaceTime me when you're drunk and we just talk a little bit and whatever. So I'm like, this is kind of weird, but good morning. And he's like, blank face, and I'm like, what? And he's like, I have something to tell you, but you're not gonna like it. That's like his exact words, verbatim. I have something to tell you, but you're not gonna like it. And I'm like, okay. And he started to like tear up a little bit, and I'm like, well, what? Like, the last thing I was thinking he was gonna say was, I don't want to be married anymore. Ugh, it gives me like the goosebumps and cringe just thinking about that he said that to me over FaceTime. whatever. And I went like a ghost, and I was like, what? I literally said, what? And like I shot out of bed, and I'm like, whoa. Come again? Like, I don't think I heard that correctly. You don't want to be married? We got married 3.5 months ago. Like, and he's like, I kind of blacked out. I don't remember what he said the rest of that FaceTime call. And my heart rate goes up just thinking about it, because it was like the most traumatic experience, is like having your husband tell you he doesn't want to be married after a few months in a foreign country while drunk in front of a strip club in the middle of the night. That's where it was. And I said, well, where are you right now? He's like, we're out at a strip club and all the guys are inside, but I can't because I'm married, or something along those lines. Like I said, I kind of blacked out the whole FaceTime call. And I was like, okay, I need to go. And I hung up, and I just cried and cried and screamed and cried, and I was home alone. And then I texted him, or he texted me or something, and I'm like, we need to talk about this. And he's like, well, my phone's at 1%. And I'm like, okay, well, when you're not drunk and your phone's not gonna die, we need to talk about this. And I thought, I was in denial. I'm like, there's no flippin' way this is happening. But also, like, I'm not dumb. I'm like, I know things have been weird, and deployment can do crazy things to a dude's brain, you know? So, but the first deployment he was on, it was totally fine. So I'm like, whatever. Oh my gosh. And then he texted me and was like, I would be lying to you if I said that, like, I wanted to be in this relationship and I'm not truly happy, and I think we rushed into things and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, okay. I need time to process this because I do not know what just happened. Well, this was still in the morning. I went to hang out with my friends that day. We had plans to go on a hike and go to our friend's pool. I kept my mouth shut. I had no idea what to say to them. And like, if I said it, it was true. So I just kept it to myself that whole day. I worked that day from 2 to 10 p.m. at night, or at the nursing home. I pretty sure I told one of my residents, my favorite one, who was like my grandma. She was like, what in the world? And I'm like, I know. I cried to her about it. So I told one of my residents before I told anybody else. I get home that night exhausted, and I went into my sister's room and I broke down. I bawled. I told her that he doesn't want to be married to me. And then that's when it like came out, so that's when I like could believe it. But at the same time, I'm like, he'll change his mind. Like, he's just on deployment, he'll change his mind, you know? I like still couldn't believe it, but I did at the same time. It was just weird. And then I think we would text like, we were still saying like, I love you at this time. I'm like, don't leave me, like, I love you. He's like, I know I love you, like, I just am living a lie if I stay with you. And I'm like, you proposed, you, like, what? I couldn't fathom this. I'm like, we got married like a couple months ago, and now you're just leaving over FaceTime? And I was like, I'm getting a plane ticket to where you're at and I'm gonna come see you. And he's like, no. And I'm like, okay, fine. Well, then things would like, I don't even know how I got through the days, honestly. Like, I just did somehow. I just got up, I did my job, I got home, and I was just like in a depressed state. But I was like a functioning depressed person. Like, I still did everything. I went out with friends, I still like posted on social media and just kind of like went about my life, but like, it was hard. But he was coming back from deployment and coming back to Wisconsin, where we're from, and he needed a plane, or he needed a ride from the airport, which is 3 hours away. So I did that. I picked him up because I'm like, if I'm the first one that he sees, maybe he'll change his mind. Like, I was like, if there's no way he'll be able to see me and look at me in the eyes, you know? Well, I picked him up from the airport. He got out, I think we hugged and I think we even kissed, and it was weird, but like we did. And I drove him to the hotel because we got a hotel because it was really late at night, and I'm like, okay, we are married, like we can still get a hotel, like this, who knows, you know, like I don't know where we're at in this relationship, but whatever. So I brought a whole snack bag because that's just what I do. And I remember we sat on the bed and we talked and we ate snacks, and then we went to bed and kind of talked like nothing happened. In my mind, I'm like, yes, like we're gonna get through this. No one needs to know everything we've gone through. Like, it's just you and I. Like, this is gonna be great. Well, in the morning, he like hardly looked at me, like just kind of like went and showered, took his phone with him, like which stuff he never used to do. We got ready and then we went to the mall because there was a big mall where we were at, and we got Starbucks. I think he paid, and then we just kind of walked around the mall. And I remember all I wanted to do was like hold his hand and like put my arm around him, and like I was craving that so bad, but like there was not there. We were just like two friends in the mall, and then still hadn't talked about anything. We got lunch then, and we got lunch at the mall. Still hadn't talked about anything, but just like looking at him, I'm like, I just want to be with you. Like, I just can't imagine my life without you. Now that I see you and I smell you and I can touch you, not really. I'm like, and he's got to feel the same about me, right? Like, he married me, he loved me. Well, I think at lunch I was like, when are we gonna talk about this? And he's like, talk about what? Like, it's done. And I'm like, okay, like that hurts to hear in person. So I went to the bathroom, cried a little bit, came back. I was like, let's go. I was just over it at that point. I'm like, let's go. We have a 3-hour drive ahead of us. Time to go. And I was like, do you want to drive? And he's like, you can. I'm like, fine. So I drove the first hour and a half. He fell asleep, I think. Like, we talked a little bit, and then we had to stop for gas. And then like it was just like sad because like we went into the gas station and we picked out like a snack or something, and like I just missed all the good times we had together, and it just kept like, it was so emotional for me. And to him it was just like nothing. So we got back in the car. I think he drove the second half, and I broke down, hyperventilated, sobbed, just like I can't. And he was like trying to rub my back, but like it was just, I was like, I can't believe this is over. I don't think he was like emotionally done though. Like, he was not even crying or like sympathy, and if he was, he didn't show it. So I was like, I just need to get out of this car. Like, this is the longest drive of my life. We get to his house, we park for a few minutes, we talk a little bit more. I think we hugged goodbye, and that was that. And then I get home, cried, couldn't believe it, texted him and was like, okay, like, can we get dinner tomorrow night and like actually talk about this? Like, I kept thinking if we would talk about it, something would change. And he's like, sure. So we got dinner, and I think, yep, we got dinner. I picked him up. I don't know why. I don't know if he had a car or not or something. I don't know. Picked him up. We drove there. I think we talked a little bit, but I don't even, like, I blacked out these conversations for the most part. Like, I truly couldn't tell you more than 5 words I said, other than like, this is really messed up. And then we got back to his house, and then that was our final hug goodbye. And I was like, this is the closure I got, I guess. So then we're like, okay, well, we gotta get divorced now. It's not just like we had a really shitty breakup. Like, now it's divorce time. Like, we're legally together. Like, I have your last name. And so I filled out some paperwork. Like, the divorce process was just a complete crap show. We're officially divorced now, praise Jesus, but took a long time to get there. He said he filed, he never really did in the court system. Then he went back to his base and yada yada yada, just like back and forth, back and forth. I got a lawyer, we sent him paperwork, he never signed it, he never got it back to us. We sent it again. I had to end up filing for divorce twice, paying all these lawyer fees, blah blah blah. We finally get a settlement agreement, get it to him, nothing. And the military like somehow has this law to protect active duty that, like, I don't know, divorce in the military is messed up. Well, then he got out of the military. I had to hire somebody to like sit outside of his door to serve him the paperwork. Finally got it, never signed it. So we got a court date. Because of COVID, it got changed a few times. It was a Zoom court date, meeting. I had to be there with my attorney. He never showed up to court, so whatever was in the settlement agreement, the judge granted. And yeah, we are officially divorced. I have not talked to him other than trying to get some money that he did not pay me because the military gives you housing allowance, and he decided he didn't want to give me that housing allowance. Shocker. So we're officially divorced. My name is in the process of being changed back to my maiden name. And then that will be my final closure. And this video is also my final closure. And I'm really proud of myself for getting this far. I mean, if you ask my friends or family, I was just a hot mess. As you can imagine, I mean, breakups are hard. And divorces are harder, and I don't wish them upon anybody unless it's a mutual decision. And divorce can be great if it's a truly toxic relationship, but we didn't have that, and that's what makes it hard. Is like, it was a great relationship and then he just left, which is like, okay, clearly he's not my person, but why did we have to get married to figure that out? But everything happens for a reason, and I can't believe I'm like smiling about it now because I never thought I would, and I never thought I would get over him, and I'm truly over him. So there's that. So that's my divorce story time. Sorry it was long and long awaited, but I just wanted to be officially divorced before I said anything. And then that happened in January, we're officially, and then life happened, and here I am in April filming the video. But onto the Q&A portion. So a lot of people just said, what have I been up to, any updates on my job, things like that. So I'm still a medical assistant, and that's basically all I've been doing with my life, is working and doing our business, White Giraffe Boutique, so, and hanging out with friends. And now that COVID's like not as bad, we can like do things. Someone asked if I've been dating, and this is a loaded question because I've gone on dates like last summer when I turned 20. That's when I started like dating, and like I think I went on like 2 dates with 2 different people, so like not a lot. Well, there was another guy too. We hung out a few times, but nothing like serious. And then I had to end it with 2 of the guys that I met on a dating app because I just didn't I just didn't feel anything for them. And then the other guy ended things with me, whatever, shocker. And then there's another guy that we met like December, January time, and I really liked him, you guys, but he wasn't ready for a relationship. So we don't wait around for no men. Even when you want to and it's hard, don't. So that's about that. Someone asked if I regret getting married young, and yeah, if you would have asked me like a year or 2 ago, I would have been like, yeah, I regret it. But now it's like, it's just part of my past, and you learn, you live and you learn from your mistakes. My friend Erin said, what will you tell your future kids? Honestly, I don't know at what age this will be brought up into conversation, but I'll just tell them that everything happens for a reason, and this is what I'll tell my kids. If I never would have got married and divorced and met your dad, you wouldn't be here, so you're welcome. Top 3 qualities to look for in my future husband is honesty / loyalty, hardworking, and like compassionate and loving. I think my ex lacked in some of those areas. Just saying. Something I learned about myself throughout is that I'm definitely stronger than I thought I was. I had a really easy relationship with him all of high school, and like if we would have ended up being married and happy and blah blah blah, like nothing truly tragic would have ever happened to me, and I wouldn't be able to appreciate everything in life. And now I can appreciate a good relationship, if that makes sense. Someone asked, how am I? I'm good. I definitely have my days now where it's like I'm really good and then I'm not good, and that's just life. But for the most part, I'm pretty good. And then, you know, people ask like what led up to the divorce. I just answered that. I don't know, nothing led up to it. His decision to, gosh, my dad is watering outside and it's distracting me. Any relationship advice that I learned from it. I just wish, sometimes I think if we only would have had a toxic relationship, it'd be easier to get over him. But like, I only remember good things from our relationship, so that's what's hard. But honesty, and I can't fault him for being honest and being like, I can't be married to you. He could have kept that in and bottled up for 5 years and then ended it in 5 years, you know, like he did what he had to do for him, and I can respect that, because if roles were reversed and I lost feelings for him, like I know how hard it would have been to tell him. And that's basically it for questions. So that is my divorce story time. Thank you guys for supporting me through it all and still being there. If you made it to the end of the video, you're a real one. I need to go remember how to edit now because it's been so long. You guys, Vlogmas, when I filmed every day of December, it wore me out of YouTube, and then I just kind of like forgot about it. And then, you know, the new love interest in the beginning of the year distracted me a lot, but now that that's gone, I have time to be me again, so that's lovely. Remember to check the bio down below for White Giraffe Boutique, the super cute, you know, summer shacket, and like the video, share with a friend, you know, get everyone involved in my little divorce story time. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.